All right, we are back. This is Mike Wall. Welcome to another episode of the Agent Revolution podcast presented by Mike Wall Live, a place where we deconstruct the biggest challenges facing today's real estate agents so that they can build a sustainable, profitable, and most of all, fulfilling real estate business. Today, I've got my man, Scott Sillari from Real Sync, and we're literally here to give you one of the biggest gifts you could ever receive from another human being. And that's time. Today, we're going to share some of the strategies that you could use essentially to get about roughly 4 to 6 hours of productivity back each week. Don't forget, you can go to Mike Wall Live and get 8 hours of absolutely free real estate business training. Scott, are you ready to rock, man?
Yeah, man, Mike. It's great to be here. It's great to be live on your podcast, Agent Revolution. I love it, man. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome, dude. I'm excited to reconnect with you. I know you're doing some big things in the industry right now, and I think this really could not come at a better time given our current situation. The real estate market, some people would say it was good. Some people will say it was bad, right? I know sellers think it's a great real estate market, right? But when they turn around on the other side of the coin and they talk to buyers, they think it's horrific, right? Because, houses are selling very quickly and multiple offers, over list price. We've heard it all, right?
Yeah.
Agents are running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to get buyers into houses and write offers. And, there's just not a whole lot of time in the day when it's all said and done. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But before we do, Scott, give us a quick bio on you, brother.
Yeah, man. So I've been, I feel like I've been working within the real estate realm for 15 years. I actually was a certified home appraiser back before the market crash from like 05 to 09. And then I got in more of the sales realm, doing business development and sales. And I was working at a company called Viral Marketing. A lot of people know that company. Yeah. It's a video marketing company. I was working with Frank for a long time over there, about 7 years. And just working with agents, helping them build their teams, their businesses, best practices, what they need to be doing to get in front of their database and to help their consumer, the buyer, the seller, to stay in front of them, right? So I was doing all the business development there. And then Real Sync had a great opportunity for me to come over and help even more businesses and really by doing what we do and the amount of applications that we connect with and the automation that we do. And ideally in the end, you've mentioned, Mike, like the big thing that we're going to be talking about is how to be efficient and save time and less errors in your data, but how you're going to be efficient through automation. Right. So right. I got involved with Real Sync and I'm in charge of business development and marketing here. And we're just trying to help agents and help agent teams and brokers the best we can with the technology that we put together and produce.
Yeah, I love it. One thing that always comes to mind for me, man, is that I remember, being a brand new agent in this industry. And when you're brand new, the only thing you really have is time, right? And what happens as you get busier is you get more money and you have less time. And what you traditionally do if you're reinvesting in your business and you're scaling is you invest some of that money back into your business to create more time and opportunity. And, I love what you're doing right now because you're helping people make a good investment in their businesses to create more time so that they can be more productive. And I don't think people really understand the impact that could have. They don't understand the whole the value of time versus the value of money. We've always heard the old adage, right? You can always create more money, but you can never create more time. You can't buy, you essentially, you can't make more time. There's only 24 hours in every day, but you can always make more money. And so when you're talking about the impact of time over money, I want people to really understand that the brevity of that and what you're actually doing in the industry today. So So tell us a little bit about, like, you're on the front lines, brother. What type of productivity errors or timing errors are you seeing agents make?
Yeah, well, let me back up. So, like, when you start, and you mentioned it, Mike, like when you start as a single agent, you're just trying to get some deals done and make some money. And then as you start to do that, you realize that you need like support staff, right?
Yeah.
Admin staff, and then you need agents to help them, because otherwise you're getting all these leads and you're not able to follow up with them. And next thing you know, you have a team, right? And with that, each time you probably add a new member, you're probably adding all these different additional systems that you need to make sure that your client experience is really good and it's amazing, right? And so that's where the systems come into play to make sure that experience is good for the customer, right? So as you add more systems, we've realized that the average team, and when I say team, I'm saying probably 10, 15 on average, or upwards of that, has about like 13 different applications that they're using, right? So imagine the time suck of like logging in these different apps or having them up and having to jump around on your computer every day, and it's just not efficient, right? Especially if you're having to add data from one system and put that same data into another. And then as a team lead, if you have agents that are doing that all day and admin staff that's having to waste their time doing that all day because things aren't automated, you can start to see not only where the time, disappears for them and like their productivity is going to go down, but also the errors. Naturally, human error will happen, especially as you grow as a business, and especially as you add more and more systems that you're having to log into and enter data.
Right.
Agents are going to try to get their time back. We all do that. I try to get my time back. And how do you do that? Right. You start thinking you can cut corners. So you start not putting in the accurate data, or saying, you know what, I can remember that, or I don't need to do that. And next thing you know, you're not getting all the data into the CRM that you want.
Sure.
And things start to slip through the cracks, right? So how do we prevent that? And that's where RealSync kind of came in and realized, like, hey, as an agent, you're never going to be able to get that all in one CRM. It just doesn't exist because tech keeps developing. So how do you get automation and get these systems, get your all-in-one with your CRM, as you start to connect these different applications and create this web of data that's bi-directional, going back and forth, and things are happening in real time, and you don't have to have your agents logging into a million systems.
Yeah. Yep. Do me a favor real quick. Give me an example of the different types of applications that you're seeing top teams use.
So one of the big ones that we see a lot of teams using for productivity is Sisu.
Okay.
So Sisu is it's a dashboard. It starts out as essentially being able to hold your agents accountable and seeing their real-time data, their conversion, their appointment sets met, pending transactions are signed, pending, and closed. And you're going to see this dashboard. You're going to see their ratios on lead sources and what they're closing. You're going to start to see like how many calls and emails and texts and all this data that they're doing in the CRM on Sisu's dashboard. And then with that, you start to gain accountability and visibility. And then over time, you can gamify it and create contests. So I see a lot of teams that get from, that are maybe 10 agents or plus, starting to add that. And we can integrate to Sisu from a lot of different CRMs. Right now we integrate Boomtown, Follow Up Boss, Real Geeks, and Firepoint into Sisu. So you can get that real-time automation, because imagine if you had that and you really wanted to get that visibility in that specific application, and you had to have your admin take all the numbers from all your agents every day and go and enter it into Sisu.
Right.
Manually.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work. And so the automation really creates a unique opportunity for teams to have that visibility. Okay. So that's one of the big ones. And then, voice pad or a call rail, or what's the other? Is it call action or Ring Central? There's a few different like phone call type applications. A lot of people have those. What we found is your conversion rates go through the roof when you add automation integration through those, because what's happening is agents will log in, let's say, to voice pad, make one follow-up phone call or maybe two, and then the lead sits there and never gets in the CRM because they didn't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're like, oh my God, I'm missing all these leads. When some of our clients added that initial integration, their conversion went up by 300% because the leads started coming in real time into the CRM. Agents are following up through there, or you have ISAs following up, and the leads are just in your CRM now. And you have that, you have your campaigns and your sequences and all that stuff happening. Right.
Yep. So for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, like a voice pad or a dialogue tech, which is something that we use, are basically if you put a sign writer on the yard sign that says call this number for more information or for the price of this home, right? And when the consumer calls in, they get a recording that maybe has some information about the house, and then at the end maybe it says press 1 for the price, and then there's a live transfer potentially sometimes. And what Scott is saying is instead of that lead just resting in the platform for the rest of the day and someone to, they did a process now, an integration with VoicePad and with the CRM that essentially pushes that lead into the CRM in real time, and then it appears in front of the agents, correct?
Yeah. So like if your CRM has a notification or sending out an auto email or something that you have when you have a new lead that registers into your CRM, well, now this happens as well, right? From the voice pad, right? And you're not having your agents having to log in and have that responsibility, right? Yeah. So that's one. And then another one, we see a lot of, integration with SkySlope or Dotloop or DocuSign, Zip Forms. So, that's really important when you get to the transaction portion of this. So when the deal's going pending and you need to have some automation for your admin staff, right? Because if your admin's having to go back and forth from the CRM and take the data there and put it here, and that's a whole process in itself, right? So having the automation that, takes and creates a loop automatically, right? And pulls in the property address and the commissions and the property value and all these different things that you would have to have your admin doing. That's another one that we're seeing a lot of integration with. Zillow, obviously a lot of people have Zillow leads pumping into their CRM. We have a pilot that we're working on with them. So there could be some Zillow integration down the road for those Flex members. Just a lot of things like that. Structurally, YLOPO are big ones that I'm seeing within the industry. So we have some integrations with YLOPO and Structurally, which are, YLOPO is a little bit more of a dynamic, like Facebook ad type, lead funnel portal, right? Like an IDX type site. Where Structurally is more of a bot, right? So what we found with Structurally is you can apply a tag in your CRM automatically with the automation and turn off the bot or turn it on, depending on where you are with that in that conversation with that potential buyer or seller. And all that communication then gets automated into your CRM as well. So your CRM is really the hub, right? And it's like you have these different applications. Instead of having to log in, you want all that to be automated. Yeah,
and it should be, by the way, it should be the hub, because I think that's why you see a lot of agents, they're reluctant to invest in different types of technologies, because now they're landing in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different places, right, to get the information that they need. And that's been a problem, man, for years and years now, is that, there's never been a really good way to get integration between all of these different technologies. And, that's what you guys have done a really good job with in creating that workflow.
Yeah.
And then essentially, like you said, it prevents people from having to go in and manually enter stuff, remember stuff, and then manually enter it, or not enter it at all, and just, lose out on the opportunity. Right.
Yeah. And so, when it's 1 or 2 people, your opportunities aren't as great, but when you're talking about teams that are 15, 20, there's a lot of opportunity missed there if you're getting the wrong data and you're not having the automation. And by all means, we don't connect to every application. I mean, there's so many in real estate, but we're continuing to strive to connect to the ones that, agents are asking for, and that can keep building the bridges in a sense. So you can get that automation. And as we grow as a company, we keep adding more connections to different applications. And what's nice about what we do is, I guess if you know what Zapier is, the difference between what we do in a Zap is we're specific to real estate. And so what I mean by that is that when we actually build out integrations, we're taking real estate agents and having them beta test the integration and coming up with the use case and going and getting feedback. And they're saying, well, we really wanted to do this. If we do this tag or this task, we'd love this to be performed over here. And it allows us to build the integration specific to the way real estate agents use these applications.
Right. And it's just essentially it's parsing data, right? I mean, there are services like Parsley that you can use where, the lead that's created is then an email is created with the information, right? And then the Parsley reads that email, and then they can disseminate that and then take it to wherever it needs to go. That's essentially the function of Zapier too, right?
Yeah. So so the difference with us is we're custom mapping it and saying, all right, this field or this task or this thing that happened in this system, we're going to push it and make this happen in this system. So we're kind of skipping that step of the email parsing, right? And that data.
I mean, which to me would seem a lot more efficient and beneficial because of the specificity of it. You work with a service like Zapier, whose services, I mean, how many applications are there in the world, right? There's probably 1 million. And, you work with a service like Zapier and they're trying to integrate all of them, right? And so they don't work out a lot of the kinks that some of these applications have because they're not specific, right? They may get 1 or 2 complaints, but when they add up all the complaints over all of those per application, then, it's like, well, how do we start? Where do we even begin versus, hey, I work with, let's say we work with, 150 different applications, all real estate related, right? You know exactly where to work out the kinks when something goes wrong, right?
Right. Exactly.
That, to me, like I like that a lot because you really, I mean, there are different, like we've worked with companies like, I mean, you think about like a Mojo, right? Who's really, it's a dialer for those of you who don't know. It's a triple line dialer. And you guys may even have some integration with Mojo. But it was created to help you scale the number of phone calls you can make. And not necessarily in real estate, although a lot of real estate agents use that application for making cold calls or expired and for sale by owners, but it's not really a real estate specific application versus what you guys are doing. And I think if you're looking, like if you're casting a vision out over the next, let's say 3 to 5 years in real estate, what as it relates to technology, what kind of stuff are you guys seeing on the horizon that you guys are trying to get ahead of right now that you think will make a big impact on what we're doing from a technology standpoint?
Yeah. So one of the big things, I mean, specifically one of the things we're working on as a company is integration from your CRM into your email, your Gmail or your Outlook, right? So right now we're in beta right now with a product that's a Gmail extension for your CRM, which is super slick. So the efficiency on that is going to be huge for the agents, right? So you're not having to jump back and forth. You can be in your email, chatting with someone. You can add a new contact, or you can change the lead assignment, lead status, add a tag, add a note, add tasks, all that stuff that you normally would do in the CRM, you can do right there without leaving your Gmail.
Wow. So would this be like an email extension, Scott?
It is. It's a Gmail extension. It's in the Google Chrome store. You have to search it. Or you have to get a link to it right now because we're in beta, then it will be public. But I am giving a free trial, and I'll drop that in the notes for 1 user per team to try it out, and we can get it set up for free. But that I wanted to mention that because that's going to lead where I see tech going is obviously more like what we are as a middleware company. That's what we call it. There's going to be more and more applications to generate leads because that's where the money is, right?
Right.
So there's always going to be the new ways of doing that, or the new IDX site, or the new CRM that's so amazing. And at the end of the day, as well as I do, Mike, it's how you use the systems, right? So where tech's going, I think there's always going to be new apps developing, but the key ones are going to be, making sure you have visibility in what your agents are doing for accountability,
Right.
Obviously, the lead follow-up system ones like Ylopo and Structurally are huge, or ones that like VoicePad, like those types of companies that are going to push those phone call leads coming in. And then also, calling assistant type companies are big too. We integrate with Conversion Monster, which is an amazing company. And they do a great job at, circle prospecting and generating leads that way. So I think you're going to continue to see the types of companies that are already there, but maybe better front facing systems for you to use, more user friendly, but you're still going to need that back end automation integration, right? But there's a lot of companies out there that are building direct integrations too. So you're going to see more integration and automation as you sign up for these systems, as it being like part of the offer of like, hey, by the way, we connect to your CRM already. And it's like, okay, good. It's about time. Right.
Right.
So you're going to see that where we're going as a company is you're going to start to see, I think one of the biggest things that is missing in real estate is when you're in a transaction, the communication between title, mortgage, realtor, seller, and buyer, and the visibility on what's actually happening during that 30-day or 60-day escrow period.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna increase that efficiency as well from the real estate side in the communication back and forth? And that's man. That's the direction we're going with it's going to be a hub. It's going to be a hub.
That's like the number one consumer complaint too, is communication.
Yeah. I just went through the buying process. I just bought a home. I couldn't believe it. I was standing back just kind of like this, just watching the communication from mortgage to title. And I couldn't believe the amount of emails. Everything was done through email still. Yeah. Like just all the data and everything go back. I was like, oh my God, this is chaos. I mean, like my email threads were like 50 long and you just don't know as the buyer, you don't even know what's going on. You're so confused.
So what would this look like? I mean, if you guys were doing that, like how would that look like? I'm just curious. This actually is really exciting for me because you've always, and not only that, not just to get like, not to get just agent, lender, title involved, but like we're talking about all the vendors, right? An inspector. I mean, you have everybody working in one. And I don't want to call it a loop. I call it loop for lack of a better term because obviously we've had dot loop for a while. But like really, it's full transparency, right? Anybody could log.
So like, there's going to be levels of who can see what, and then because of security purposes with title and mortgage, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be essentially like envision a Slack for this part of the transaction where it's like this hub of communication from the title, mortgage, realtor, and then the seller and buyer get a certain amount of visibility, and then links can be sent out for them to use, and it's all extension based for them to use extensions to these different vendors. And now you have everyone kind of communicating in one place, and you have that kind of visibility. Now the layers and the how we're still envisioning, but there's a whole map that my business partner had laid out, and I was like looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. Think about it for a second, because like,
but a document share as well, like everything can go through it. And you have certain levels of visibility, like almost like channels, right?
Right. Yeah. And so like each transaction becomes like its own, like, it just becomes like a living entity, right? It exists like you can look at different types or different pieces of the transaction wherever you're at in the process. Like you can literally get the county involved for the deed transfer. You can get utility companies involved for electric and gas. I mean,
the insurance. Like I had to as the buyer during my process, I had to hunt down my insurance agent and be like, hey, the processor is waiting on the insurance stock. If you don't get it to them today, I'm not going to close in time. I had to do that as the buyer. Imagine if I'm just a normal buyer and you're sitting back and you know what I mean? I knew I had to, just because I work within the space, I knew I had to hunt down certain people and do certain things, but I'm like, why didn't the processor reach out to me and say how dire this was?
Yeah.
Right. It's like that. Kind of if there's certain delays and the communication takes too long and it's not in real time, then it could delay the whole process, right? So we're I'm not going to name names, but we're in the process of integrating a mortgage platform to some of the CRMs we already integrate with, right? So then there could be that also real-time communication between the mortgage and in the real estate. So it's just all these steps that we're trying to take to continue to build this hub. So we're super excited about where we're going as a company, but you're going to see more and more tech companies out there trying to make that, the whole transaction coordination process too. And like these dot loop and sky slope, I think there's gonna be a lot of improvement on that task management part of real estate as well.
Dude, that's awesome, man. And honestly, that's been an industry need for a long time is to create that type of transparency, like you said, because, if a buyer doesn't know some of these things are going on that could potentially damage the transaction or have it not close on time, like what you ran into with your insurance person.
Yeah.
With this level of transparency, like the accountability goes through the roof, right? When the buyer can see that like these boxes haven't been checked and they have all the information they need, they're just not doing it, right? So you can light a fire under this person. I love it. And again, this is all about creating. It's all about creating systems and automation and creating more time. So, and obviously, you guys, we're going way down the road here, and we understand. I mean, from an industry perspective, technology is changing the game, and it does every day, every year, and it will continue to do so. So, like for you, Scott, though, when you talk to somebody, typically, let's say you're talking to me, right? I'm a big team leader. I've got 15 agents. We're using Commissions Inc. We're using Top Producer. We're using we're using Mojo. We're using all these different platforms. Like, what are you saying to me? Like, what are the agents coming to you and saying, here's where I need help, man?
Yeah. So it's a tough thing, man, because there really is so many applications out there. I wish there was less and that did more. Right. But a lot of times, like if you came to me, Mike, I'd be like, well, right now Commissions Inc.'s working on their API and it's not available for us to build an integration on. Right. So there's a lot of things that we run into as an integration and middleware company. We can't just create an integration to any app. Like they have to have an API that's available, whether it's public or not. They have to have one that's built out. Yeah. They have to have one that's functioning at a high level so that we can actually do the things that we want to do or that you want as a user to be done between that integration, let's say from Commissions Inc. to whatever the other application is, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like Top Producer. Like maybe we could integrate. So we definitely could integrate Top Producer into the Commissions Inc. if we were able to build a connector. Mm-hmm. And then, then we start piecing your all-in-one together, right, over time, by either what's available or customizing it. Yeah. Now we've had clients come to us and be like, look, man, what's it going to cost me to put these 6 apps together? And I put them a custom quote together, and we can do that as a company, but it's not scalable. It's not, and then for the customer, it's not really affordable either. It's like, you'd rather, you'd rather see it work itself out over time rather than coming to us and being like, we can build all this out for you for like 25 grand. Yeah. Because development's expensive. And so what I do see though, over time is the development costs will start to bleed down.
Right.
And the reason is because the supply and demand will start to work itself out. Right. Yeah. Right now, like the demand's so high that it's just expensive for the development, but hopefully that starts to shift to where these things are more affordable. And then we, us as a company, we can bring on more and more developers and keep developing the different applications. Right. But like for you, I'd have you piece it together, be like, all right, RealSync can do this part of the integration. Zapier can do Mojo real easy into your Commissions Inc. Just use that. It's not a complicated integration. So just zap that one, right? We're not going to build out an integration to Mojo. There's no reason to do it. It works. It's not complicated enough. It's too simple. Right. So like that's what I would do with an agent. I would start working with them and trying to get them to piece together automation for the different systems that they have, whether it's through us or other companies, just to start to help them. Now, what I see down the road is it's going to be much easier. You sign up and you get like instant integration with every system to your CRM. It's all set up for you. You don't have to go through these complicated steps as much as you do right now. And it's just a natural thing that happens, 5 years down the road, right? Where it's like everything's integrated to everything.
Right. It's like you said too, man, that's a sales point now, right? Is that, I mean, if your system doesn't integrate or you're not working on integration, then, people are less likely to want to do business with you. Would you agree with that?
100%. It's something that's in the brain now where it's like, hey, if I add this system, like, is it going to complicate the process so much, even though if it's generating leads?
Right.
People are asking now when they sign up for something, what does it integrate with my CRM? Which is a great question. You need to be asking. If you're watching this right now and you're signing up for a new system, you need to ask, do you have an open API? So that means that a company like ours, API Nation, PieSync, Zapier, some of these other companies can build out integrations to you. Do you have an open API? Or what do you have direct integrations with? Do you integrate directly with my CRM? You need to be asking those questions, because it's going back to what we talked about at the beginning. It's going to waste time. Your agent's going to have to learn additional systems. They're going to waste time entering data. They're going to miss data. They're going to start cutting corners, and you're going to start missing out on conversion on your leads.
Right. And again, this is like, I want everybody to understand, like, I know some people that are solo agents, right, who are looking at this, and they may just have acquired their first CRM. This is where you're headed, just so you know. And the whole point of this conversation is really, we're talking about optimization and efficiency. The whole reason you add in a CRM is so that the brain is like a parking garage, right? Can only hold so many cars. And, so you need to be able to store that data. You need to be able to set a reminder to follow up with that data. And it's also nice to have tool automation and tools within that CRM to help you nurture that consumer. And so all these different sites really are about optimization, right? All like the triple line dialer we talked about with Mojo is about being able to scale the number of phone calls you can make. Again, about optimization, right? About creating more time for more conversations. The CRM,
and finding the actual legit buyers and sellers, right? Like you get all these systems and there's so many leads being generated, but without automation, you're just wasting time on the people that aren't actually interested.
Yeah.
So it's like the automation allows your systems to do the job they're supposed to, and hopefully by getting the lead into your CRM, adding to a campaign and the follow-up sequences, it's more efficient for you to find out whether or not that person's a real-time buyer or seller, or whether they're a nurture or out a couple of years. And you can get to that point a lot more quickly and efficiently than if you're, again, in all these separate systems trying to figure it all out.
Right. And understand, every sale you've ever had came from a conversation, right? Every sale you've ever had came from a conversation. And so really what you're doing, like you said, is you're using it like a sifter, right?
Yeah.
You're sifting out the best buyers, the best sellers, right? You're being able to create better conversations for yourself so that when you pick up the phone, there's a much higher likelihood that you're going to be able to set an appointment, correct?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, so, I mean, even today I talked to an agent, single agent. He has a Real Geek site. He went and signed up for Structurally, and he set up an integration with us. $10 a month, one user, $10 a month for that integration. It's cheap. Go set it up. You know what I mean? So it's not super expensive to have integration too, especially when you come to our site. Like, we charge per user. Yeah. Obviously, if you have hundreds of users, we give discounts. We're trying not to price people out, but it's not that expensive to set up some integration for the amount of time it's going to save you. If you start understanding the time is money, you start putting a number on your time. It's
value your time. Value your time.
Right.
That's
absolutely
what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. I love it. I'm so glad we got to reconnect, man. It's
man. Me too. It's amazing. Thank you for reaching out and having me on. I'm thrilled to be here, and hopefully, I added some value for your audience. And if anyone wants to try out our Gmail extension right now, it works, Mike, with Follow Up Boss, Firepoint, and Boomtown. Super cool. You can come. I'll put a link in with the promo code. You can Try it out for 30 days for free. And it's 3 clicks and you get it installed onto your Google Chrome. Yep. And it's an extension right there.
Scott, how can people get a hold of you, man, if they have more questions about this?
Yeah. So, realsync.com. You can email me, Scott@realsync.com. If you have questions, you just want to talk or do a consult, figure out like your tech stack, essentially, right? Everyone's got different tech. Yep. And it's like, we might have something coming soon. We always have a pipeline of what we're developing. It's just a matter of, there's a lot of factors into it, right? But like, get on a call with me, shoot me an email. You can call me, 858-684. I'll drop my number, 1385. You can shoot me a text there as well. I'm more than happy to get on the phone with anybody and put them on the right direction, inform you about applications that are coming or different systems that you should be using potentially in your business that are going to help you, be more efficient and, again, save time and money.
Got it. As usual, I love sharing these stories week after week, man, because I know this show is literally changing agents' financial lives, my own included. Do me a big favor. If you know someone that might enjoy the podcast, please share it with them. And if you like the podcast, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure and subscribe. Don't forget to visit MikeWallLive.com for free training, free real estate business training, right? Training like this, training that is shaping and changing the industry, building better agents so that we can provide a better client experience. Hey, Scott, thank you so much again for taking time out of your busy day to share with our audience. And I'll talk to you again soon, my man.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.